Hi, I'm Rabbi Sharon Cohen Anisfeld, and I want to thank you so much for sharing in this first installment of our spring series on leadership, learning, and love. There's something about song that is so central to our Passover celebrations. There are the songs of the Seder, there are the songs of Hallel that we recite throughout the holiday. There are the songs, the poems of Shir HaShirim, of the Song of Songs, that we read on the Sabbath of Passover. And of course, there is the song that lies at the heart of the Exodus story itself, the song that Bnei Yisrael, that the children of Israel sing as they cross over the Reed Sea, leave Egypt behind, and take their first steps into freedom. There's a beautiful midrash on the moment that the Israelites arrive at the shores of the sea. It's a moment that's described in the Torah as a moment of overwhelming terror. The Israelites have survived the final plague. They've survived the harrowing night of passage out of Egypt. They've witnessed great signs and wonders. And then here they find themselves, with the Egyptian army closing in behind them and the seemingly impassable waters stretched out before them. And quite understandably, in this moment, the Torah tells us, they panic and they cry out to God. They say, "Was it for want of graves in Egypt that you brought us to die here in the wilderness? What have you done to us?" And we're told that Moses attempts to reassure the people, saying, "Have no fear, the Lord will do battle for you. You hold your peace." But interestingly, there's something that God does not like about this response from Moses. And God responds by saying, "Ma titzak elai? What are you crying out to me for? Tell the Israelites to go forward." So it's a strange and intriguing moment. It's not clear exactly what Moses has done wrong. But this midrash from Shmot Rabbah, from Exodus Rabbah, takes this opportunity to reflect on the nature of God as Shomea Tefillah, the nature of God as one who hears prayer. So listen to the description in the midrash. In the hour that Israel prays, you do not find that everyone prays as one, but rather each and every community prays in its own way and time. This congregation first, and after that another congregation. And after all the congregations have finished all of their prayers, the angel appointed over all tefillot gathers up all of the prayers that all of the congregations have prayed and makes out of them a crown and places it on the head of the Holy Blessed One. And the Midrash then continues and says, Davar acher, another interpretation, a human being cannot hear a conversation with two people speaking at once. But the Holy Blessed One is not like that. Everyone is praying at the same time, and God can hear and receive all of those prayers. The implication of the Midrash seems to be that God rebukes Moses at the shores of the sea for underestimating the divine capacity to hear prayer, for underestimating God's ability to hear the cacophony of human cries that have already been let loose and lifted up on angels' wings. This is the God who is Shomea Tefillah, the one who hears prayers. In this moment of extraordinary chaos, of overwhelming fear, we are asked to imagine a God who hears and receives the cries of each and every person. A God who wears a crown of human longing and praise. I've been thinking about this midrash lately, partly because of the image it offers us, especially in this period of isolation, when we are, for the most part, separated from one another. I've been thinking about it because of the way it invites us to remember that while each of us may be crying out in our own way and in our own time, in our own homes, and while we may be limited on our capacity to hear and to hold and to respond to the needs and the cries of those around us, there is one who hears and holds us all, one who embraces and connects us all. I've also been thinking about this midrash because of the contrast it presents between the God who holds all this and the false God that we are leaving behind when we leave Egypt. Contrast this God with the Pharaoh, whose brutal and life-denying worldview flattens and erases the complexities of the human experience. In Pharaoh's world, you are either Egyptian or Israelite. You are either master or you are slave. Pharaoh can't be bothered with the shared humanity that blurs those distinctions. The idea that there could be a person, a Joseph, who is somehow both Israelite and Egyptian, this Pharaoh does not know him. Vayakom melech hadash asher lo yada et Yosef. This Pharaoh cannot even imagine, cannot permit the possibility of such complexity, of such ambiguity. In this Pharaoh's world, you are either boy or girl, and this determines whether you will live or die. You are either safe or dangerous. Little did this Pharaoh understand how dangerous the women would be. Shifra, Pua, Yocheved, Miriam, his own daughter, Bat Paro. How disruptive they would be of the world of harsh distinctions that he sought to impose. In contrast to the hollow and dehumanizing distinctions of Pharaoh's world, we are asked to imagine and to worship, to serve a God who holds the full complexity of the human experience. Not only the prayers of each and every Israelite, but the cries of each and every person. There is another midrash that famously tells us that when the angels asked to sing a song of rejoicing while the Egyptians were drowning in the sea, God rebuked them, saying, "The works of my hands are drowning in the sea, and you would utter song in my presence?" Strikingly, according to this midrash, while the angels are told to be silent, we humans are allowed to sing. It is true, how dare we rejoice? And it is also true, in this moment when our lives, our futures have been given back to us, how can we not rejoice? God, it seems, understands our limits. But we are not allowed to forget that there is one before whom all cries are heard. The Midrash insists that our own song and our own celebration forever contains an echo of those other cries, the cries of our oppressors, also God's children, drowning beneath the same waters that parted for us moments before. I want to suggest that part of the power of song in this moment, part of the power of song in our Passover celebrations, part of the power of song in general, lies in the fact that it does not silence or erase or flatten the contradictions that can be so difficult for us to bear. Shirah, poetry, song, at its deepest and most true, gives voice to the paradoxes of the human heart. It carries us beyond the brittle choice of either this or that, of either us or them, to the more subtle and supple truthfulness of both this and that, to the expansive ground of merchavia, where there is room for both us and them, where there is room for a more spacious we. Chag Sameach. May you have a safe, healthy, and happy Passover.